Between 2008 and 2015, Barcelona weren't just a football club. They were a religion. Messi, Xavi, Iniesta, Sergio Busquets, and Gerard Piqué at the back. It was a team that redefined the sport. This team didn't just win games, they changed how football was played. Tiki-taka wasn't just a tactic, it was an ideology. It was the thing that other clubs aspired towards. But after 2015, after that night in Berlin when Barcelona lifted the Champions League under Luis Enrique, something changed. The trophies slowed, the football dulled, the club's identity, once crystal clear, it started to fracture. And by 2020, that once perfect machine was broken beyond repair. This is the real reason that Barcelona fell apart after 2015. A story of power, money, ego, and betrayal of their own philosophy. In 2015, Barcelona were on top of the world. Under Luis Enrique, they had won the treble, La Liga, Copa del Rey, and the Champions League. The front three of Lionel Messi, Neymar Jr., and Luis Suárez, MSN. It was unstoppable. It was unlike anything we've ever seen before. 120 goals, a blend of genius, chemistry, and pure chaos. The kind of chaos that any defense would not want to come up against. Barcelona beat Juventus 3-1 in Berlin, and the world called them immortal. But what no one knew was that 2015 wasn't the start of another era, it was the end of one. Behind every great Barcelona team were three men off the pitch. Pep Guardiola, who built the system, Tiki Begiristain, who recruited for it, and Juan Laporta, who protected it. All three were gone by 2010, and by 2015, Barcelona were winning because of the momentum and the incredible squad that they had. Not the management. The philosophy that Guardiola had crafted was still there in spirit, but the leaders who understood it were now long gone. When Barcelona lost Xavi in 2015, they lost their compass. He was the bridge between the philosophy and the execution, and no one was ready to replace him. When Neymar joined in 2013, he was supposed to be the Messi heir, and by 2015, he'd become an equal. And that was the problem. Barcelona had always been about the collective. Guardiola's team worked because no one was bigger than the system. But MSN, they came in and they changed that. Barca became a front three team built around individual brilliance instead of collective control. It worked while they were at their peak, but it eroded the principles that made them great. When Neymar left the club in 2017 for 222 million euros, the most expensive transfer in the history of football, it didn't just break the market, it changed everything, and it broke Barcelona's soul in the process. Because Barcelona had lost the one thing that they thought they could never lose: control in the market. For the first time ever, it now felt like no player was really safe in the Barcelona squad. They were hoping that Neymar would lead the generation for the next decade, but now he left the club, and the club really never knew how much of a mission it would be to replace him in the coming years. That 222 million euros windfall, it should have secured their future. That was an insane amount of money coming into the club, and the kind of money that Barca really could have invested wisely into the squad. Instead, it actually became a curse. Under President Josep Maria Bartomeu, Barcelona, they panicked when Neymar left. They got the money, but they tried to buy instant success. They spent nearly 400 million euros on Coutinho, Dembele, and Griezmann, none of whom fit their system, none of whom actually should have been playing in the Barcelona squad. None of whom actually fit the system at Barcelona. And for years, Barca's strength was their identity. Now, they were chasing stars like a club with no plan. It seemed like they were trying to pull off their own version of building a Galactico squad, a squad full of stars. But ultimately, it just didn't work. And by 2020, they had the highest wage bill in world football, over 600 million euros per year, and still no Champions League. It seemed like there was no identity. The team was full of stars, and yet they just couldn't pull in the Champions League. Josep Maria Bartomeu took over from Sandro Rosell in 2014, promising that he would bring stability to Barcelona. Instead, he built a corporate monster. The football side became a marketing machine. Decisions were made for sponsorships, not for sporting integrity. He handed out long-term contracts to aging stars on massive wages. Piqué, Busquets, Suarez, Alba, Messi, all earning well over 20 million euros per year. Meanwhile, La Masia, the academy that produced Messi, Iniesta, Xavi, it was all being neglected. Bartomeu didn't trust any of his youth team players. He just trusted in the spreadsheet. He wanted to bring in established stars. That's why he looked at Antoine Griezmann. That's why he looked at the wonder kid at the moment, Ousmane Dembele. That's why he decided to snap up Felipe Coutinho. That's why he did this, because he wanted the stars in the team instead of trusting in the youth. And the funny thing is, whenever Barcelona have trusted in La Masia over the years, it's always paid off. But for some reason, this guy just couldn't see it. In his 6 years, Barcelona spent 1 billion euros on transfers, and they won just one Champions League. The rest was all just smoke and mirrors, because if we're being honest, if Barcelona didn't have Messi in the squad, who is the greatest player of all time, in their squad at that exact moment, well, we can all safely say that the club really would have been struggling. Under Guardiola, La Masia was a pipeline of perfection, producing players who thought, who moved, and played the Barcelona way. All of the players in the La Masia Academy were ready to make the step up to the first team. And after 2015, that pipeline, it just clogged. Young talents like Sergi Samper, Munir, and Deulofeu, they were all being rushed into the first team, and when they couldn't perform, then they were being discarded. There was a young, incredible attacking winger who just burst onto the scene, and his name was Adama Traore. But Barcelona needed some money to come in, so what did they do? The first chance they got to sell him, they took it. And the pathway to the first team, it just disappeared. Young players started realizing that making it to the first team was becoming more and more impossible. And between 2015 and 2020, Barcelona only produced one regular starter from La Masia, and his name was Ansu Fati, for a club that once prided itself on homegrown excellence. That was a crisis of identity, a club that can produce talent like no one else in the world. Only getting one player into the first team in the space of 5 years, that is devastating. By 2016, Barcelona had become a one-man team. Every attack, every trophy dream, every hope, it just revolved around one man, Lionel Messi. He was too good for his own club. When he didn't score, they didn't win. When he didn't create, they didn't function. Messi's brilliance, it papered over all the cracks, but it also masked how poorly Barcelona were being run. The club stopped evolving. They just kept waiting for Messi to save them. And when he finally left the club in 2021, in tears at a press conference, it wasn't betrayal. It was inevitable. The club put themselves in a situation where they couldn't pay his wages, and he did not want to leave Barcelona, but it seemed like he was kind of being forced out of the club. And he didn't abandon Barcelona, it's actually Barcelona that abandoned him. If you really want to take a look at the downfall of Barcelona, just take a look at the years that they had in the Champions League. 2017, they lost 4-0 to Juventus. 2018, they lost 3-0 to Roma. In 2019, they lost 4-0 to Liverpool. In 2020, they lost 8-2 to Bayern Munich. 4 years, 4 humiliations. Each one a symbol of this overall decline. Barca didn't just lose, they collapsed psychologically. Once a team that dictated matches, they were now chasing ghosts. The same players that once played with confidence now look terrified, because greatness isn't just built on talent, it's built on renewal, and Barcelona stopped renewing themselves years ago. By 2021, the truth had emerged. Barcelona were 1.35 billion euros in debt. COVID wasn't the cause. It was the final blow. Years of overspending and underplanning had caught up to the club. Coutinho was earning more than De Bruyne. Even reserve players had 5 million euro contracts. La Liga forced them to cut costs. And when they couldn't register Messi's new contract, he ended up leaving for free. It was the most devastating moment in football history. In 2020, Barca fans stormed the Camp Nou, demanding Bartomeu's resignation. His administration was accused of corruption, mismanagement, and even funding social media campaigns to discredit players and legends. The scandal, called Barcagate, it destroyed his credibility. He resigned in 2020, leaving behind a financial time bomb. By then, the damage was done. Barca weren't just broke, they were now broken. And in 2021, Juan Laporta returned as the president of the club, the same man who oversaw the golden generation of Messi and Guardiola. But he didn't inherit a football club, he inherited a crisis. To survive, he activated what he called economic levers. He sold 25% of Barca's TV rights for the next 25 years, and a portion of Barca Studios. It raised cash in the short term, but at the cost of the future. It was a desperate move from a club that once defined sustainability. And even with Laporta back, Barca's crisis had shifted from chaotic to complex. They signed Lewandowski, Rafinha, Koundé, and Gundogan, strong names, but funded through credit and short-term deals. Xavi, appointed in 2021, restored some order to the club, winning La Liga in 2023, but the financial problems, they still loomed large. Barcelona now walking a tightrope between competing and collapsing. For the first time, they're not a superpower anymore. They're a legacy brand trying to stay relevant. The real reason that Barcelona fell apart isn't because of the money or the management. It's that they forgot who they were. La Masia was about identity, not economy. Tiki-taka was about trust, not about possession. When the board chose marketing over mentality, the soul of Barcelona, it evaporated. The club that once stood for més que un club, more than a club, became exactly like every other club. The collapse, it wasn't just financial, it was emotional. Messi crying at his farewell press conference, Piqué retiring in tears, Busquets and Alba leaving quietly to the MLS. For generations of fans, it felt like watching a family break apart. These weren't just players, they were symbols of an era that made people believe in football again. It was part of an era that made fans fall in love with Barcelona. And now, they were just being discarded like they were nothing. But out of every collapse comes a restart. Barcelona, they got Pedri, they got Gavi, Lamine Yamal, Alejandro Balde, Pau Cubarsí. So many young players, and they restored hope. These aren't saviors, they were signs that Barcelona needed. Barcelona are trying to rebuild their squad right now in the right way. From within, through youth, through identity, through a beautiful way of playing. They've returned to La Masia, restoring the pathway that once defined them. Xavi, he knew that he couldn't recreate Guardiola's team, but he could build the values that made it all possible. And that is where all of the real hope began. Xavi did something special. He may not have been on the same level as Hansi Flick is right now, but what Xavi did, he was responsible for getting Barcelona on the right track, for allowing the players to play a certain way, to work hard once again, and to remind the players of what it means to wear the Barcelona jersey. And thanks to Xavi, Hansi Flick stepped into a Barcelona team that just needed his thinking, his way of turning the team in the right way. And now Barcelona are currently in one of their best periods. The club is looking stronger than ever. And even though there is still a bit of a financial issue going on at the club, the one thing that we can all admit is that Barcelona look dangerous once again. And that is exactly what fans want to see. Barcelona fans want to see good football, and that is what Hansi Flick brings to the squad. And right now, Barcelona are on the verge of something special. Barcelona's fall is a warning to every club in the world. You can buy players, you can buy fame, but you can't buy your identity. For decades, Barcelona were proof that principles could beat money. And now, they're proof of what happens when you abandon all of them. And that's the thing about football, ladies and gentlemen. When it comes to this beautiful game, you can try to buy the stars, but more often than not, it just doesn't work in your favor. And Barcelona had to learn this the hard way. Football is pretty cynical. Empires rise, and empires at the same time, they can fall. But the beauty of it all is that Barcelona is a team with a philosophy. And right now, the club may not have Messi, they may not have Xavi or Iniesta, but the club is onto something pretty special with the players that they have. But guys, I want to know down in the comments below, what do you guys think? Do you think that Barcelona can return to their glory days, or do you think that they are just a disaster waiting to happen? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Also, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe for more footballing content like this, and I will catch you on the next one.